Imagine a place on Earth so hostile, so unforgiving, that it almost feels like it belongs in a myth. A place that turns birds to stone and mummifies animals in eerie, statue-like perfection. This isn't fantasy, it's real, and it's called Lake Natron. Tucked away in northern Tanzania, Lake Natron may look beautiful from a distance, with its soft pink waters and tranquil surface, but don't be fooled. Beneath that peaceful appearance lies a deadly chemical trap. What makes it so dangerous? It begins with the lake's unusual geography. Unlike most lakes, Natron doesn't flow into any rivers or oceans. It just sits there, quietly collecting salty desert rainwater year after year. But the real danger comes from the nearby volcano, Volcanic. It's the only volcano on Earth that erupts a rare kind of lava, rich in sodium carbonate and potassium carbonate. These minerals spill into Lake Natron and mix with the water, creating an incredibly alkaline brew. How alkaline? Its pH is around 10.5, comparable to ammonia or bleach. This chemical soup preserves anything it touches. In ancient Egypt, these same compounds were used to mummify the dead. But here, in Natron, nature does the embalming, no human hands required. Birds that land in the lake and fail to escape often die and are preserved in stunning detail, their bodies calcified, locked in time. Photographer Nick Brandt captured these haunting remains in 2013, birds frozen mid-flight, as if death came in an instant. Lake Natron doesn't just kill, it immortalizes. It's the closest thing we have on Earth to a real-life Medusa's curse. But this is just the beginning, because this deadly lake has secrets and survivors. So what exactly is inside Lake Natron that makes it so deadly, so otherworldly? To the eye, it may appear calm, even beautiful. Its glassy surface reflects the sky, and its reddish-pink color gives it a surreal, dreamlike look. But underneath that serene layer is a chemical nightmare. Lake Natron is filled with an extremely high concentration of sodium carbonate, potassium carbonate, and sodium bicarbonate, a natural mix of minerals that was once used by ancient Egyptians to mummify bodies. These compounds seep into the lake from the surrounding landscape, especially from the nearby volcano, Volcanic, which emits a rare, cold lava filled with natron-rich minerals. Over time, these substances accumulate, turning the lake into a chemical trap. The water is so alkaline it has a pH level of 10.5, that's almost as corrosive as ammonia. It's not just salty, it's caustic. Touch it with an open wound and you'll feel a fiery sting. Stay submerged too long and your body could start to break down on the outside while being preserved on the inside. This strange composition gives the lake its reddish glow, especially during the dry season when the water evaporates and the chemical concentration spikes. The deeper the red, the more dangerous it becomes. Animals that misjudge the reflective surface and plunge in, usually birds, often meet a quick and tragic fate. Once they die, the minerals quickly coat and harden their remains, locking them into twisted, lifelike poses. It's not decay, it's preservation. Nature has turned this lake into a perfect embalming machine, a mirror-like death trap that seduces with beauty and punishes with permanence. And yet, amid this chemical chaos, life finds a way. You'd think a lake that turns animals into statues would be lifeless, that nothing could survive its scorching heat, corrosive waters, and suffocating alkalinity. But somehow, one species not only survives here, it flourishes. Enter the flamingo. That's right, those elegant pink birds with stick-thin legs and ballerina grace have turned Lake Natron into a flamingo fortress. To them, this death lake is more than just a body of water. It's a safe haven. Here's why. Lake Natron's toxic chemistry keeps predators away. Crocodiles, hyenas, even large birds of prey. None dare venture near the sizzling shores. So while other animals perish, flamingos nest and raise their chicks in peace. But how do they survive the lake's chemical hell? Their bodies are built for it. They've evolved scaly, thick-skinned legs that resist burning. They don't walk barefoot into danger, they stride in with armor. For drinking, they don't rely on the lake's caustic water. Instead, they sip from fresh springs and geysers bubbling up at the lake's edge. And if it comes to it, they can even drink the salt water. thanks to special glands in their beaks that filter out salt, like a built-in desalinizer. Even their stomachs are weaponized. They can digest the toxic red algae blooming in the lake, algae that would poison almost any other creature. But for flamingos, it's food and fuel. The result? Lake Natron is home to one of the world's largest flamingo breeding grounds, a fiery, deadly landscape that becomes a nursery for life. But what would happen if you tried to live like a flamingo? Let's just say things wouldn't go so well. So, let's say you're inspired by the flamingos. You strap on some boots, pack your bravado, and decide, I'm going in. What could possibly go wrong? Well, here's the brutal truth. Lake Natron doesn't welcome human visitors. Not kindly and not gently. Depending on the season, the lake's temperature can soar up to 60 degrees Celsius. That's 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Hot enough to boil an egg. Hot enough to cause third-degree burns in under 5 seconds. Not the refreshing swim you were hoping for. And don't even think about diving in. Lake Natron is shallow, with jagged salt formations just beneath the surface, like stepping into a pool filled with glass shards. One wrong move and you're cut, bleeding, burning, fast. But here's where things get disturbing. If you drown in this lake, your body won't rot like it would in a typical lake. Instead, the lake's chemical brew halts decomposition. Your skin tightens, your organs stay intact. Even your hair may remain eerily preserved. You'd become a natural mummy, a human time capsule sealed in salt and soda ash. Hundreds of years from now, you might be found, still recognizable, eyes closed, frozen in time. And if the heat doesn't get you, the alkalinity might. The lake's high pH would sting your eyes, burn open wounds, and strip away layers of skin. Without serious protection, you wouldn't last long. It's a slow, searing punishment, disguised by beauty. And yet, people have fallen victim to this place. When a group of explorers came face to face with Lake Natron's fury, and barely lived to tell the tale. For most people, Lake Natron is something to observe from a safe distance. But in 2007, a group of wildlife videographers got far too close. What began as a routine filming mission turned into a real-life survival story when their helicopter crashed directly into the lake. The chopper plunged into the blistering shallows of Lake Natron. The searing water was the least of their problems. The jagged salt crust below tore through metal and flesh. The pilot suffered a broken leg. Another passenger shattered a hip, and chaos erupted in an instant. Now stranded in a chemical death trap, wounded and exposed, their only hope was to escape the toxic waters and call for help. But the lake's scorching heat, alkaline sting, and knife-like salt crystals turned every step into torture. Amazingly, one of the passengers, injured and exhausted, managed to crawl out of the lake and reach the nearby shore. With sheer determination, they located members of the Maasai tribe, nomadic locals who live in the surrounding region. The Maasai didn't hesitate. They built makeshift stretchers from branches and cloth, then carried the injured through miles of rugged terrain. It was a race against time, a desperate sprint through searing heat and razor-like salt formations, with lives hanging in the balance. Incredibly, everyone survived. This real-life rescue proves just how merciless Lake Natron can be, and just how powerful the human will to live truly is. It also reminds us that beauty in nature often hides its most brutal truths. But while Lake Natron may be deadly, for the flamingos, it's still a sanctuary. In a place where the air scorches, the water burns, and the land calcifies life, how can anything survive? How can life thrive in a lake that has the power to preserve the dead? And yet, Lake Natron is far from lifeless. It's a paradox, a lake that both destroys and protects, where death waits beneath the surface, but above it, life flourishes. And the flamingo, it isn't just surviving, it's multiplying. Each year, tens of thousands of lesser flamingos arrive at Lake Natron to breed, feed, and raise their young. They wade through the alkaline shallows like they belong, because they do. This place has become one of the most important flamingo breeding sites in the world. The flamingos use the salty lakebed to build mud nests, small towers rising just high enough to keep their eggs safe from the scorching brine. No predator dares approach. No rival can endure the conditions. Here, flamingos live without fear. They eat the toxic red algae that blooms in abundance. They raise their chicks in peace, and they paint the sky with sweeping clouds of pink as they take flight. Lake Natron, for all its violence and hostility, offers them something that no other place can: sanctuary through danger. A chemical shield no predator dares to cross. It's proof that sometimes the harshest places on Earth become the safest homes for those who can adapt. But while the flamingos have mastered this environment, we humans remain outsiders, staring into a lake that reflects not just the sky, but the thin line between beauty and brutality. So let's say something goes wrong. You fall into Lake Natron and don't make it out. What happens next isn't just death. It's transformation. Lake Natron doesn't let bodies decompose like other waters do. It doesn't allow time to eat away at flesh and bone. Instead, it preserves you perfectly. The same minerals that protect the flamingos' nesting grounds will turn your body into a monument. Within hours, your skin would begin to tighten. Your eyes might remain intact, your internal organs frozen in stasis, and your body, covered in a chalky white crust, would harden into a rigid, stone-like form. You wouldn't rot. You wouldn't wither. You'd remain. Centuries could pass, and if the lake's waters recede, your body might be found, hair still in place, facial expression preserved, as if time simply stopped. It's a haunting thought, to become not just part of the landscape, but part of the lake's Eerie Museum of the Dead. A warning, a statue, a ghost. This is no fantasy. Photographer Nick Brandt has captured it. Birds calcified in flight, bats frozen mid-screech, their bodies unervingly intact. They look like sculptures, but they once breathed. If a human body were to remain long enough beneath the alkaline surface, it might become the most well-preserved corpse nature could produce, without any human interference. A natural mummy, cradled in caustic stillness. It's beautiful, it's terrifying, it's real, and it begs the question, if death looked this peaceful, would you be tempted to touch the water? Lake Natron isn't just a deadly lake. It's something far more fascinating, a natural laboratory of preservation, a place where death doesn't mean decay, but suspension, where biology hits the pause button and time stands still. Scientists around the world are mesmerized by this place, because within the lake's hostile chemistry lies a potential key to unlocking the past and possibly preserving the future. Think about it. What if we could replicate the lake's unique chemical formula to preserve human tissue, endangered species, even ancient artifacts, without the need for refrigeration or synthetic chemicals? Imagine being able to preserve DNA, organs, or even entire organisms, just like the animal's natron has frozen in time. Researchers are now studying how its sodium carbonate-rich waters interact with organic material, hoping to adapt it for medical, archaeological, and even space applications. That's right, space. What if this preservation method could one day be used to store biological samples on deep space missions, or preserve astronauts in suspended animation during long interstellar journeys? It's ironic, really. A lake that kills may one day help prolong life. And then there's the philosophical side. Lake Natron shows us a rare moment in nature, where life and death blur, where beauty comes with danger, and destruction comes with preservation. It's a reminder of nature's duality, that even in the most extreme environments, there is purpose, balance, and unexpected brilliance. From flamingo sanctuaries to natural mummies, from volcanic origins to futuristic science, Lake Natron is more than just a deadly wonder. It's a mirror reflecting the strange, delicate line between survival and silence. But before we go, one final question remains. What else is hiding in Earth's deadliest lakes? Lake Natron may be one of the most visually striking death traps on Earth, but it's not alone. There are other lakes, calm, quiet, and just as deadly, hiding secrets that could wipe out entire villages in a single breath. Take Lake Nyos in Cameroon. From the surface, it looks harmless, peaceful even. But deep below, it holds a ticking time bomb: carbon dioxide. In 1986, without warning, the lake exploded, not with fire but with gas. A massive, invisible cloud of CO2 rose from the depths, rolled down the surrounding hills, and silently suffocated over 1,700 people in their sleep. Animals, humans, gone in minutes, no warning, no escape. This rare event is called a limnic eruption, and scientists believe it could happen again, not just in Nyos, but in other deep, gas-choked lakes around the world. Then there's Boiling Lake in Dominica, a lake that literally steams like a pot left on high. It bubbles with volcanic gases and can reach scalding temperatures, hot enough to cook flesh in seconds. One wrong step near its unstable shore, and you're gone. These lakes don't just look deadly. They are deadly because they kill invisibly, through gas, through heat, through chemistry. They remind us that Earth is still wild, still dangerous, and filled with places not meant for human feet. So while Lake Natron may turn you to stone, others could leave no trace of you at all. From the pink, corrosive shores of Lake Natron to the invisible death clouds of Lake Nyos, we've seen that lakes, these calm, beautiful mirrors of the sky, can also be nature's most silent killers. They don't roar like hurricanes. They don't shake the ground like earthquakes. They whisper, they deceive, and then they strike. But maybe these lakes aren't just killers. Maybe they're messages. Lake Natron teaches us that life and death can coexist. That while some creatures calcify into statues, others thrive and raise families in the same waters. It shows us how evolution adapts, how beauty hides in brutality, and how the harshest environments often protect the rarest life. Lake Nyos, on the other hand, reminds us that we still know very little about the forces quietly bubbling beneath us. For every volcano we monitor, every storm we predict, there are hidden lakes storing power we've barely begun to understand. So what's the lesson? Respect, awareness, humility, because nature doesn't need to roar to command fear. Sometimes the most dangerous places on Earth are the ones that sit silently under the sun, reflecting the clouds like nothing's wrong. So the next time you see a serene lake, ask yourself what's really beneath the surface. Thank you for joining us on this journey. From ancient mummification lakes to exploding basins of gas, we've explored Earth's strangest waters and uncovered the truth behind the beauty. This has been What If? And if you're still curious, ask yourself, what if there are even deadlier places we haven't discovered yet?